tea to spill. So apparently there's this artist, and I've seen this artist before because I believe it was a couple years ago. I think it was in the pandemic where this artist, Ozzy Worldly, decided to depict the devil as black people, right? And here is some of his work. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. And many people say that he is a white artist. Okay, let's read the red. Ozzy Worley is an Italian painter heavily inspired by black artists, the main inspiration being Kerry James Marshall and John Michael Basquiat. The top two works here are by Marshall, while the bottom two are by Basquiat. Okay. To what degree is Worley inspired by these artists? Well, let's start with Marshall. The left images are by Worley, while the right images are by Marshall. Notice by the very obvious style, mimicking the pure black forms Marshall is known for while touching similar compositions. These are clearly black people. You could sit there and get away and say that's not a black person, but yeah, that's a black person. Marshall is a bit of a newer interest, while his earlier work is definitely Basquiat inspired. Left being Worley, right being Basquiat. The loose style, red noose, exposed teeth, the use of text, and the crown icon are all drenched in Basquiat. Yeah, Basquiat is influential. Most def. Now, there's nothing wrong with being influenced by other artists. Even copying compositions is common and historically very celebrated. You are adding to the conversation happening across art history. But when you do it, what's the conversation you're having with these artists? Worley's work is very spooky, creepy, melancholy. Even his TikToks have spooky music. Is his niche. It's shallow, and the heavy use of copying other styles leaves it feeling very hollow. Here's some other works by Worley, and you can get a better idea of what I mean. Okay. Definitely taking inspiration from Basquiat. Most def. Criticisms he's facing online now, and even last year to the point where he deleted his Twitter, is that he's talking about black experience, particularly American, while being Italian. There's nothing wrong with painting black people, but he usually only paints black people. Yep. It is interesting. And then as he's been painting these pitch black figures, Worley refers to them as demons or beasts. He denies that they represent black people, stating the following. Interestingly, the article I quote below is from a black NFT community called the Black Chain. In response to the concerns regarding the portrayal of demons as black, Ozzy took to his now deleted Twitter account to explain his intentions. He clarified that his art was not meant to associate these representations with any specific culture or skin color. He expressed a genuine love for the culture and claimed his intentions were rooted in exploring fascinating subjects devoid of any malicious intent. Despite his stated intentions, the impact of his work cannot be divorced from the historical context of racial stereotypes and the potential harm caused to the black NFT community. I am a lover of this culture, and I find it fascinating to express myself with subjects that I find fascinating. The demons I referred to in the tweet referred to works such as The Beast, in which I represent the dark and visceral part of a man without the intention of associating him with anything, any culture, and any type of skin color. I never thought that they could mean anything bad to some because my intentions have always been pure. He posted on Twitter yesterday. Okay. He can say whatever he wants, but saying the figures aren't black people, come on, man. He's using constant black artist inspiration and depicted black people with these exact features in his other work. The first image is by Basquiat and the others by Worley. Yeah. 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 To deny it is stupid when you look at his entire body of work. I'll end by showing two works of his I find at least a little interesting. The work is still gloomy, creepy, and wordy, but the second being on the back canvas and the cover by the bar is something more evocative. Yeah. Very talented artist. Very talented artist indeed. But as you can see, that is a black person. Now, you could easily, the funny thing with art is you could easily sit there and say, because it's subjective, that is not a black person. But that is a black person. that can be perceived as a black person. You know, that whole thing at the top is an afro, right? He's using the same signatures on the top of the hair that he used with his other figures. And if not that, then you can most definitely say that that's a black person. That looks like an escaped slave. I don't understand. That looks like something that you would see in a old Negro spiritual book or something. Something very, very depictive of a black person, and something that is definitely on par with a lot of his other works depicting black people. And as an artist, I find this to be very interesting. I find it to be very interesting because at the end of the day, it just goes to show that even when it's something that's supposedly in the black art world, supposedly something that black people created, depicting black people, right? That if you have certain connections, if you have certain abilities to build your own social media portfolio, you're able to take a part, you're able to be a part of that community, right? And we can sit there and say, well, that's okay because art is something that is subjective. Art is something that is universal, and you can't gatekeep art, right? You can't gatekeep a certain practice. And in some form or fashion, that's true. Culture is meant to be shared and so on and so forth. But it's just very interesting to me because he's sitting here actively denying something that is right in front of us. To depict demons and shadows and all of these other different things as black people, but not really black people, but shadow people, but they kind of depict in the same way as your black paintings and drawings. It's a choice. It's a choice, and he made it. And so now a lot of people in the black community and a lot of other artists, even outside of the black community, see that and they're like, girl, what's going on? This just goes to show you that this is a long history within the art world of prioritizing white people and prioritizing a particular type of racism, even if it's subtle, right? Or even if it's in the attempt of being more diverse in the art world, right? We don't need it. We didn't ask for it, but here it is.